Welcome, everyone. We are going to go ahead and get started. It is the top of the hour, and I want to just welcome you all to today's webinar on holding steady to support students experiencing homelessness, strategies to build compassion resilience. I am very excited about this conversation today. I think that we have a lot that we can learn and talk with each other, and I think it's very timely, just given all of the things that are going on with our students and our families that we work with. So welcome to our webinar, and I hope that this will be something that is really helpful to you in this space today. I am Karen Rice. I'm the Senior Manager of Education Initiatives at SchoolHouse Connection, and I'm so excited to be here with you today and to be here with our presenters. I want to just, as we're jumping in and getting started, give you a couple of housekeeping bits for us today. We would love it if you want to introduce yourself in the chat. We always love to know who is in the room with us. We've got about an hour and 15 minutes for our webinar today. And so if you've got questions during this time, or if there's something that's said that comes up that you want to know a little bit more about with our presenters, we welcome you to type those questions into our Q&A box. Sometimes the chat gets going a little fast and we lose questions in there because there are lots of thoughts and comments, and those are wonderful. Please put those in the chat, but make sure you put your questions in that Q&A box so that we can keep track of those. And we will have some time at the end of our session today to answer those questions and to go back and look through those. So would love to hear from you. We are recording today's session. The recording will be available on our website after our time together. You'll also get that sent to your email if you registered for the webinar today. You will also get a certificate of attendance if you need that for your own files or for your professional development. That will be sent to you as well. And then I just want to invite you to connect with our SHC Slack community. This is a place with practitioners across the country, and it's a really, really valuable place to ask your questions to your colleagues, find that support and that community in a space where we can all be together and connecting. So if you are not already connected to our Slack community, I just want to invite you to do that. You will have access to these slides, so that link is live in the slides, and in just a minute I will drop it into the chat as well for those of you who are interested and have not already joined our community. If you are not familiar with SchoolHouse Connection, welcome. I want to just introduce us to you all. SchoolHouse Connection is a national nonprofit advocacy organization, and our mission is to overcome homelessness from prenatal to post-secondary. And we do that in a number of different ways, including by working with practitioners in the field and working with you all and supporting you in the work that you do to implement McKinney-Vento and serve our students and families. So if you're not connected with us, we would love to connect with you. We would love to invite you to our website, where we have a mountain of really valuable resources for you. You can also join our newsletter and get updated resources and information from our team. So again, you'll have access to these slides with those live links to sign up for that. So that is who we are at SchoolHouse Connection. And we've got a full agenda for our time together today. So I want to just walk you through what we're hoping to accomplish in this time. We have some really excellent panelists. I'm so excited for our speakers today. So this is where we're headed. This is what we hope to get out of our session. We really want to help recognize the signs and symptoms of compassion fatigue and burnout. Those symptoms that are unique to liaisons and state coordinators as you juggle the work that you do, both in that systems work as well as with that direct support with the students and families that you serve. We want to offer some grounding techniques and apply those techniques to help you maintain that balance in times when things are really busy and really difficult, or when there are limited resources. We want to offer those tools to you. Our goal is to implement trauma-informed, resilience-focused strategies. We want to empower you, and we want to remain focused on the work that we're doing and offer, again, that support to you. And then we also hope that you'll leave here with a reignited sense of purpose and connection to our community, to each other, to all of us who are navigating this work together. So we hope this will be a time of renewal and some sustaining for you in the field as you work with the families and students that you serve. So we've got a lot to cover. We've got some lofty goals here, and this is going to be really a valuable time for us to be together. So I want to just briefly introduce you to our panelists, and then I will introduce them as they join us and speak today. Brenda Stieber is a professional and social work program director at Marian University in Wisconsin. And Cherie Jones is the homeless education specialist at the Indiana Department of Education. So we are going to kick off our time together by hearing from Brenda Stever. And I want to just take a minute to introduce you to Brenda. Brenda has dedicated more than 30 years to the field of social work, both as a practitioner and as an educator. And her passion has really evolved to strengthen those who have really dedicated their lives and their service to the social work profession. And sorry, excuse me for just a second. I'm having just a bit of technical difficulties here. Apologies for that. Brenda has a certificate in leadership and development, and with that, she's become increasingly focused on addressing the growing challenges of burnout and resilience among helping professionals. Through her career, she's explored and researched topics such as generational intelligence, poverty, and most recently, leadership in a world of followers. Brenda's work reflects her belief that fostering compassion, purpose, and resilience is essential, not only for those we serve, but also for those who serve others. So I am so happy and so excited to welcome Brenda to our time together. Brenda, I will stop sharing so you can share your slides, and I will turn it over to you. Oops, Brenda, you're on mute.
Well, thank you for that wonderful introduction, Karen. It's great to be here with all of you. I was watching your uh, names pop up as you were entering them in the chat, and I was just surprised. Like, you guys are from everywhere. This is awesome. And the number of people that are here show me that you are focusing on the importance of resilience. And if you're not, that you're willing to learn and to maybe get some tips and tricks today, some strategies on how to practice resilience. I don't know about you, but as a helping professional for the last 31 years of my life, sometimes I'll say to myself, you know, why I should know this? Like, I tell people this. And I do it all the time because right now, I'm the director of the social work program, but I also have the privilege of teaching in some courses here at Marion. And you're constantly telling your students, I'm telling my students, and I'm telling my staff, oh, you got to do this, you got to do this. But then when it comes to me doing it, I'm not always, I like to practice, or I don't always practice what I preach. So maybe you're one of those out there. And with it being a fresh start to the new year, maybe you've set some goals, or maybe you've picked a word for the year that is going to help you focus more on being the best person that you can be um, in the workplace and at home. So a good, healthy balance, right? I'm from Wisconsin, so I'm in the same state as Karen. And we can both attest to the fact that on Tuesday it was 52 degrees out. I was outside running with no jacket, no mittens. And today I woke up and it was 8 degrees out. And there's snow on the ground. So you never know what you're going to get in Wisconsin. So I was jealous also to see those people from Arizona and Florida and all those warm states out there. So I want to just start by recognizing all of you and each of you individually and the work that you are doing. Even though I'm not practicing social work currently, I did for a period of time and for about 15 years. And that work is tough. And what you guys are doing is really tough. It's emotionally challenging. Um, I know that even navigating through the systems can be very difficult and having to communicate with different people. And the systems don't always correlate, they clash a lot of times. And policies are changing every day. And social media, the news outlets are telling us one thing and then a different thing. And the resources are becoming more dim, maybe in some cases, in that they're harder to locate. And so we sometimes are just as discouraged or tired or feel as stressed. And I just want to recognize that that is not a weakness that you have, that we have as helping professionals. It's not that you're failing, it's just a normal response to all of the meaningful work that you all are doing. So thank you for everything that you do. I see you, we see you. I know your organization sees you, otherwise they wouldn't be putting time and effort into these webinars for you. So I hope you're feeling the love out there today, because you are valued and you're important. So in understanding the stress landscape here a little bit, what are some common stressors for some of you? This is some information that I gathered doing on some research on what I came up with from homeless liaisons. Maybe I know this list probably is a lot longer, but I tried to pick out the top four that I needed to know about in understanding your stress landscape. So chronic exposure to family instability and student trauma. I don't know about you, but trauma, that word, that meaning takes on new shapes, new faces, new issues, problems every day. We see a lot of student trauma at the higher education level and a lot of even family instability. And they're in college. So I can't imagine, some of the issues that you guys are dealing with the students in your environmental landscapes in academics. Higher caseloads in crisis-driven work. A lot of work that we do is based upon a lot of students, a lot of people that need help, and it's crisis-driven most of the time, right? We are in a very reactive type of environment most of the time, and we don't get to do the preventative work that we want to necessarily. Limited resources and systematic barriers. Once again, we see this in our political landscape. We see this in at the county level, federal level, local level, state level, that the resources are different. And this one drives a lot of probably different meaning to each of you here because you're coming from a lot of different states with different mandates and policies. And then role ambiguity, sorry, that's advocating, complying. What kind of roles do you play? And is your job description the only thing that you're doing? I'm guessing no. I'm guessing you're doing a lot more than that on a daily basis. So I love this little image here for you because the idea of resilience kind of reminds me of what my cat is like at my house. I have a cat named Pistachio. We call her Stashi. And she really thinks that sometimes she is the lion in the house, even though she's a small cat. And she will take on the dogs, and she will even take on me sometimes if I'm not doing what she likes. So sometimes we have this persona that we are bigger. We should be bigger than what we are, that we should be doing more than what we're doing. And that's not necessarily the case. I think we bring that on ourselves a lot of times. And resilience is not about doing more, it's about recovering faster. So there's this idea of bouncing back from difficult situations. So in the chat, I would love it if you just wrote one word that would describe what resilience means to you. So when you think of the word resilience, what comes to mind for you as far as in the workplace or even in your own environments and personally um, of how you handle things? And then the goal here is to just have a growth mindset today. That's what I ask of you is that, for the next 40 minutes that I'm speaking, that you say, you know what, I'm going to take on some of these strategies, or hey, I'm going to take some time to look at this and do some of these things, or try one thing. Because I don't know about you, but like at the beginning of the year, one of the things for me is I say, oh, I'm going to change all of these different things. And then a lot of times I get through a week or two at the beginning of the year and I'm like, boy, I give something up already. Um, in fact, last Friday I was driving in the car and I heard on January 9th, I heard that it was National Quit Your New Year's Resolution Day. And I was like, wow, 8 days in, and a lot of people, it's a national holiday or it's a national recognition of that people are already quitting what they're doing. So the goal here is to think about something that you can do, picking up one of these strategies today that will work for you. My strategy is I like to run. And I'm not telling you that I like to get out and run every day. This morning was really tough. But you know what? I said to myself, I want to be able to come on this webinar and say that I did it, or say to myself, I did it. I am following through. But you know what? Running is not best for everybody, nor is it the thing that you do on a regular basis. So you have to pick something that works for you, of things that we're talking about, things that will help you bounce back. So I love this quote, just because you are struggling does not mean you are failing. And that if we kind of reframe some of the things that we struggle with in life, our reactions are not correlating with personal failures by any means. It's just that it's a normal nervous system response. So a lot of the times when we are dealing with parents that are not maybe cooperating, or school systems or administration, or maybe even colleagues, or maybe it's something going on at home for you, and we just react to it. It's just part of our nervous system. Okay. So my new thing, this one of my new things I've been doing some research on, is this idea of above the line and below the line functioning. And this kind of resonates with me. I don't know about you, but I'm much of a illustrative learner. I like to think about things and think about pictures in my mind, and that really helps me learn, or maybe learn and then store it somewhere up in the front of my brain, in my I call it my file cabinet of my brain. So it's kind of at the forefront, this idea above the line and below the line. So you're going to see me use this language a little bit today about, are you having above the line functioning or below the line functioning, and what does it take to get you above the line? Okay. So above the line functioning is being present, being regulated, being able to problem solve. So let's break this down a little bit. Let's think about this. What does it look like for you to be present? This is something that our world struggles with on the daily. Um, Not having our phones to scroll on, not having to be stimulated all the time. I just listened to a short video on YouTube yesterday. It was like 6 minutes long, and it was about the power of being bored. And I thought, wow, being bored. I don't like to be bored. Some of you will probably like me too. You don't like to be bored. You feel like you don't even allow yourself to be bored. And being bored is, just sitting in your office and not doing anything, or, no radio on in your car. My students asked me the other day how to use the radio, which I thought was interesting. It really made me feel old. Um, but being present is just listening, being mindful of what you're hearing, being regulated. Well, regulation means a lot of different things to a lot of people, right? Being regulated at work with our emotions, being regulated in our physiological things that we do on a daily basis. Um, some things that I notice I'm not regulated is when I'm eating a granola bar for lunch as I'm walking to my next meeting, or my next class. That's not healthy. That's not being regulated. So regulation looks like different things for all of you. And then problem solving. Are you able to solve problems in a healthy way? Or are you just um, not thinking things through? And then doing what is below the line, which is being reactive, exhausted, and then ultimately shutting down. So when we think about the idea of reactive, exhausted, shutting down, these are red flags, right? And you all know this stuff. You know what this looks like, and you know what it means to you. Are you responding quickly to someone and not very in a very nice way? Or are you just going home emotionally exhausted to the point where you don't even want to fix dinner? You don't want to work out. You don't want to talk to anybody because you're peopled out, is what I call it. Or are you just shutting down, like just closing the world off because, work is just so hard. So this idea of this resilience model, and what could actually help. We're going to go through three pillars of personal resilience. And like I said, I hope that you can take away maybe one or two strategies today, of things that we're going to talk about that maybe will help you with making sure you have this foundation. And that's what pillars are. If you think about pillars, once again, an illustration, when I think about pillars, I think about foundation, and what our foundations are made out of. Our foundations are made out of usually concrete, right? If you think about a house being built, in the Midwest here, we have basements. So we have basements that are made out of concrete. And the reason we use concrete is because it's strong. It's going to hold up what's on top of it. And the idea of pillars is, okay, I need to pick maybe one, maybe two, maybe three of these pillars to help with personal resilience. So the first one is regulation, calming the nervous system. So I'm going to give you some strategies today that might help with calming your nervous system. What does that look like for you? Are you stress sweating? Um, is your heart racing? Are you not able to keep calm in certain circumstances? And then boundaries is a huge aspect of that too, right? Like, oh, I know that boundaries is a tough one for us. If we're out there helping people and it's really hard to say no, it's really hard to not advocate completely. And what does that do to us? Well, it pretty much empties our emotional bucket. And if you have nothing pouring into your emotional bucket, and it's constantly being drained, you're not going to have any energy left for yourself. So we need to start protecting some of our emotional energy and learning to set healthy boundaries. And then meaning is reconnecting to purpose without over identifying. So, we do a really good job of like thinking things through and thinking them through again and then overthinking them. And then when things collapse or don't go as planned, we question our ability and our purpose. And a lot of times we blame ourselves for things. And that's not fair. It's not fair to you and it's not fair to the people that surround you. So the goal is to kind of work through some of those pillars. So let's start with pillar one. What does that look like? Regulation. Okay, so helping our bodies move from reactive to regulated. And on the right, there are some pictures of things that I notice when I'm not well regulated in my nervous system. My heart races. I've actually had chest pains in the past when I've been so stressed out. And sometimes my brain overthinks everything. And probably the number one thing for me is I can't sleep at night. I can't turn my brain off. And I get so angry at my husband because we'll go to sleep and in 5 minutes he is snoring and I'm not able to fall asleep because I'm thinking about something that happened in the day or something that bothered me in the day or what I need to do tomorrow. And if that happens more on like 2 nights in a row, that's one of my red flags. And I'm like, okay, something's not going right here. I'm not able to turn off my brain. And I know I need to do something to regulate. Okay. So creating safety in our nervous system. Um, and then some easy regulation examples, physiological ones for regulating our nervous system is slowing your breath down. And I know we talk about this, we all know this one, right? But how many of you would say you actually practice this? So I made part of my New Year's resolution was that I was going to take 3 times a day to breathe. And I thought, wow, like longer breathe. We breathe all the time, but like longer exhaling and inhaling. So I have also created some space for me personally to do yoga twice a week, which really helps with breathing because if any of you have ever done yoga or meditation, you know that breathing is a huge part of it. So I need to be held accountable. So if I pay to go to something, then I'm more likely to go to it versus if I just say, yeah, I'm going to practice breathing. So I take 3 times a day. In the morning when I wake up, I do 2 to 3 just longer breaths. And I drop my shoulders, I relax my jaw, and I name my stress for the day. And you might have heard of this phrase, naming to tame it. But if you actually name your stress for the day, it tames it to like, okay, you've put it in a word, you've identified it. And when you identify your stress, you're able to regulate it better. So we're actually going to practice this. And then I want you to maybe think about this. Maybe this is the one thing that you're saying, hey, Brenda, I can do this. I can take 3 times a day. It takes less than 2 minutes. So 6 minutes of your day to say, okay, I'm going to practice breathing longer. And we're going to do this together. And I know I can't see any of you, but I'm going to just kind of lead us. And then when we get done with it, if you could just throw something in the chat or give me a reaction in Zoom, I know you have the ability to react to what you thought about it. That would be great. Okay, you all ready? Okay, here we go. Deep breath in, hold it, and then slowly exhale. Drop those shoulders. I can't see some of you, but I know your shoulders are probably still tense. Okay, let's do one more. Deep breath in, and then slowly release. Now I want you in your brain to name your stress for the day. What was it? Okay. How did that feel? Was that awful? All right, I'm getting some love out there. I'm seeing some hearts. Great. So simple, right? And we all know this stuff, but it's so dang hard sometimes to stop and regulate ourselves, yet the value of it is so important. It's so important for us to do that kind of stuff because it just brings you back and centers you. It balances you. All right, we're going to move on to pillar 2, okay? And I got to just check my time because sometimes I like to overtalk. So, okay, good. All right, so pillar 2 is boundaries. I don't know about you, but this one is probably a really tough one for me because as a social worker by education and experience, I have a hard time saying no. Part of it is my own identity. I feel like if I say no, I'm going to be a personal failure or I'm going to let someone down. Or maybe it's that I'm just like this helper, like, oh, I'm in a helping profession and I need to help other people. So this idea of pillar 2 boundaries is where the goal here is to help protect our emotional energy because we are Wonder Woman and we are Supermen, but we are not, we can't be that way all the time because we don't have superpowers. We're superheroes, but we don't necessarily have superpowers. So, what do boundaries help us do? They help us stay compassionate without absorbing everything. So, we don't want to be a sponge in which we're taking everything on, because what happens to sponges when they soak up everything? They get heavy, right? And then we have to wring them out to reuse them, because once a sponge is full, you can't use it until you wring it out. Okay, so kind of that bucket idea, right? If you don't wring out your sponge, if you don't have your bucket filled, there's nothing we can't be continuing to be used in a healthy way. It also helps us reduce emotional exhaustion. Okay, so emotions, I don't know about you, but sometimes emotional roller coaster ride. One day you're flying high, you've had a great day, you've helped a lot of clients or people, you're getting, you get good responses from the people that you're helping. And then there are those days where you're like, oh, I can't wait to go home and why am I here? What am I doing? Am I ever making an impact? And it's hard. So the idea of emotional energy and protecting it too is actually an ethical issue. Did you know that? Did you know that if you are not practicing healthy boundaries, it's actually part of a lot of people's, I know for me, NASW, the National Association of Social Work, our code of ethics is we need to sustain ourselves. We need to practice self-care because it's ethical and we can't help others if we don't help ourselves. So that's a huge thing that we practice in the classroom and teach our students to prepare for in internship. A lot of things too is based upon that image I have on the right-hand side of your screen of what I can control and what I can't. Okay. So we think we are in control. We need to be in control. A lot of us like to be in control. But one of the phrases I use with my students is get over yourself. And I find myself saying that to myself also, like, get over yourself, Brenda. You're not that important, that other people can't help, or that I need to control the situation, or I need to solve people's problems. So that's sometimes where the boundary traps come in is if I don't do it, no one else will, or they won't do it the way that I think that it needs to be done. Or we make ourselves over available. I don't know about you, but sometimes like my calendar is, oh, yeah, I can take that on. Oh, sure, I can do that. And then I say I can do it, and then I go and look at my calendar and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just double booked myself. Or I'm supposed to be doing something with my family, and I just said I was going to do something for work. And then we have a struggle, right? Then we have a conflict, and we have to decide what we're going to do. So taking our responsibilities for outcomes you cannot control. So that might be one thing you want to think about. Like when you are planning your day, like what are things you really can't control? Do you really need to be at that meeting because are things really going to change? Or do you need to um, overschedule? If you stay at work an extra half hour because you really feel like you have to, is it really going to matter? Or should you leave and go home and can the work wait for tomorrow? Okay. I have this issue a lot with, this has been an ongoing issue with my students, I would say for the last 5 years, probably since COVID, is that they expect immediate responses. And they want it their way. And I say we've grown up in a Starbucks world where we can go to Starbucks, we can order a venti with half caffeinated almond milk, two extra pumps of vanilla syrup, and no caramel drizzle, but I'd like the whipped cream on it. Okay. And they'll do it for us. And so we've created um, these people now, and including some of us that are like, we get it our way, and we're not going to be happy until we get it our way. And we have to remember that there are a lot of things that we can't control, and we can't always have it our way. And sometimes what's best for us and what's best for others is the worst for someone else. So one of the things that, oh, and the other thing I wanted to mention in regards to this is immediate responses, because we can get immediate responses for things now because we have phones. So we have ChatGPT where if we have a problem, we can type something in and get immediate response. My students expect me to respond within 2 to 3 hours of an email. And if I don't, seriously, sometimes they reach out to the dean or the VPAA or they reach out to me as the program director. I reached out to Dr. So-and-so 2 hours ago and they haven't responded to me. And I'm like, whoa, you're not going to get an immediate response. What does it say in their syllabus? 24 hours. So it goes down to this idea of boundary examples, okay? Setting email cutoff times. This is really important. And this one's really hard because we have digital stuff attached to us at all times. Our phones are usually attached to us. How many of you have email on your phone? How many of you have notifications go off on your phone when you get a new email? Is that necessary? Is it a small tool that you can do to maybe turn that off? I don't get notifications when I get a new email. because when I hear that ding, it sends me into, oh my gosh, I need a response. I need to reply. So is that something that you could possibly change? Okay. One of the things that our president instilled during the fall semester is he asked us not to send emails on Sundays and or not after noon on Saturdays and not at all on Sundays. And then he trained all of us on how to use schedule send. And I don't know if you guys know about how to schedule send in Outlook, if you use Outlook email, but this is an awesome tool. And I was kind of like ticked off at him at first. I'm like, you know what, buddy? I do all my grading on Sundays. So if I want to send an email to a student, like this is when I do a lot of my grading. I watch football and I grade. But I have taken on the practice of, you know what? I'm not going to look at my emails on Sundays and I'm going to use schedule send. So if I do decide to look at my emails, something else is not going into one of my staff members' emails until Monday at 8 a.m. It's setting healthy boundaries. So this may be a small thing that you want to integrate into your phone, your Outlook on cutoff times. Another one could be using supportive but firm language. You know, it sounds to me like you are really stressed out about this, and I validate that, saying some kind of validating words, but in a firm language. You know what? Thursday nights is date night with me and my significant other, and I can't help out. It's really important that I set that healthy consistent date night, or whatever it is for you, and then living by it. Because not only when you start doing it, you're also showing others that it's okay. It's okay to be firm. It's okay to advocate for yourself. It's okay to set those healthy boundaries, to preserve your emotional energy. And then letting systems carry what they're meant to carry. I don't know about you, but how many of you maybe think you can change systems or can change them overnight or carry on the stress of the way the systems are? And this one's a tough one too, because if you think at a macro level, changing systems, we know how hard it is to change systems. Even at a meso level, working with families. One of my biggest frustrations when I was working with juvenile delinquents, I used to be a supervisor of a group home, and we'd have, it was a boys group home, and they were adjudicated delinquent, and we'd have them for like a year, and they were making super progress and doing amazing things. But then we sent them home, and guess what happened? The family system had not changed like the child had. And within 3 to 6 months, sometimes we were back to that environment of problems again. So we cannot be change makers all the time. And sometimes we need to just let systems carry what they're meant to carry and stay in our own lanes of what we do have control over and what we don't. And then pillar three, meaning, reconnecting without over identifying. So there I am on the top in that image, overthinking. Yes, no, should I do this? Should I not do this? I got this reaction. Oh, did I do something wrong? Oh, should I do it a different way? Why isn't it working with this family? Why are they not responding? Um, and that usually happens at 10 o'clock at night, and then midnight, and then 2 a.m. in the morning. Um, and like I told you, my biggest beast in my life is the problem of not being able to sleep at times because I'm overthinking things. And that burns you out, right? Sleep is really valuable. And maybe it's something else for you. Maybe you have something else that you know is causing you to not be able to stay well grounded, because you're not able to regulate. So they all feed into each other. So regulating sleep, regulating your eating, regulating um, different things, coping strategies that you use. So over identifying, it burns us out. if we over-identify and overthink. So there are some times that we need to just close the door. And I've seen in my research that this is a gender thing sometimes. I have read research that men do a better job at closing the door and boxing things up and having different rooms in the house for, and I'm saying mentally in our brain, right? So like in your brain, you have boxes, you have doors, you have rooms, and you just can go into one room and then leave it behind. I think that's why my husband can fall asleep so easy at night. Uh, but women, we have wires connected to everything. Like, oh, this goes on to this, and this happens with this, and this is connected to this, and we a lot of times overthink things through. Maybe not. I'm not saying that it's that way for everybody, but a lot of times it has to do with gender. And then the other thing is generational. Um, I give the Gen Zers, the boomlets, they're called, a lot of, and millennials too. They can close things off sometimes better than us, baby boomers or Gen Xers. They don't necessarily, we tend to think things through a little bit more if you're a little bit older than the younger generations. But what kind of meaning do you have to your work and to your identification? My work matters. I show up with integrity. I do my part well. Or are you over identifying? It's all on me. If this doesn't work, I failed. I can't stop thinking about this family. So this one is just reshifting our our mindset, what we're telling ourselves, what we're thinking. Purpose does not equal responsibility for outcomes. Okay. You are out there, you have a purpose, but do not guarantee results. And it's not your fault if the results don't show up the way they're supposed to, because we're working with humans and everybody's different, right? So if we take a few minutes just to put this idea of all these pillars together. Resilience happens when we regulate in the moment. We use boundaries before exhaustion, and we reconnect to meaning without self-sacrifice. So we're going to take a minute to reflect. And if you have like your phone near you or even something to write with, um, or maybe just stopping in if you don't have either one of those things and saying, okay, what helps me reset my body? I shared with you some of the things I do, the breathing. I try to run at least 5 times a week. That helps me reset my body. So, what is something that you do to help you reset your body? And then a question that's not on here is how often do you do it? Okay, so think about that one for a second. Are you doing it on the daily? Are you doing it just when you're stressed? Are you doing it when you're so far in the hole it's hard to climb out? And then what protects my energy? What fills your bucket? What brings you joy? Okay, and happiness and joy are different in my book. Happiness is just a feeling, an emotion, but joy is that deep down soulful thing. Like what brings you joy? And then protecting that time. Maybe it's spending time with your kids. Maybe it's going to the racquetball court. Maybe it's having coffee with your friends, but protecting your energy, and making sure that you have enough emotional energy for yourself and for those people and for those things that you want to do. And then what reminds me why this work matters. So thinking about why are you doing what you're doing? Because you're all here for a reason and a purpose, and you're all making an impact on many people. What do you have that resonates with you? Do you have something in your car or on your office wall or maybe on your mirror at home that says, okay, remind me why this work matters? So just some of those small, repeatable moments of something that's going to remind you on the daily, maybe several times a day, on why you're doing what you're doing is very valuable. So the idea of daily, not occasionally. Okay, so this just as reinforcing the idea that every day we need to practice. Resilience is not built on occasionally, or grand gestures. Resilience is not based upon, oh, I'm going to go on vacation once a year and it's going to get me through the other 359 days of the year, or 300 some days, whatever, however long you go on vacation or you take vacation days. It does not help you build that consistency of resilience. So once again, what is something that you're willing to do on the daily that you can do, that you're like, you know what, I can do this. I don't set up unrealistic goals, because if you do, you're going to set yourself up for failure. So do something that you can do that's practical for you and doesn't maybe take a lot of time, but that you're willing to commit to do every day. I found some of these things that I thought were really interesting. I actually asked my students for what they do to when they leave internship. What do they do? Or what do they do when they go from one client to the next client? Um, they wash their hands. I thought that was really interesting, but very practical. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to throw that in here because it's a practical thing. I have a student that says, you know what? She washes her hands after she meets with a student. What does it do for her? She has to go to the bathroom. Okay. It gives her a moment to think. And she feels like she's a germaphobe, okay? I'm a germaphobe a little bit too, but she's got a little OCD in her and she likes to make sure she doesn't have germs on her. But she said it's just kind of like washing her hands. It's tactile and she feels clean when she's done. It gives her a moment to think and she moves on. I think the middle one is very popular for a lot of us. We listen to music, and you'll see that I wrote in here, listen to your song, because your song is not my song. And whatever gets you fired up and motivated or calms you down and creates a safe space for you to just relax for a few minutes. So listen to your song, have it available. And then breathe for 5 minutes or less. It doesn't even take 5 minutes to breathe. But if you breathe for 5 minutes and you take time to breathe for 5 minutes, think about like, where's your happy place? For me, my happy place is outside, in nature, where I can breathe fresh air. So, breathing and thinking about where your happy place is, and maybe even putting yourself in your happy place for a little bit of time. So going back to this internal dialogue, above the line, what does this look like? Okay, this is hard, but I'm doing my best. Okay, this is what's going on in our inner voice. What are we saying to ourselves, especially in our difficult work that we're doing? Anyone in this role would feel this. I'm not the only one. Okay, and I can care deeply without being perfect, because we're not perfect. If we always think we're going to maximize at everything we do, and you have that expectation, you're setting yourself up for unrealistic expectations. Okay? So you can care deeply, but you don't have to be perfect all the time in what you're doing. Provide yourself some grace like you do for your clients that you're working with. So below the line is, I should have done more. I'm not handling this well. I'm failing them. So how you talk to yourself will internalize. And I'm guessing that none of you talk to your clients like this. I bet you don't say to them, you really should have done more. You're not handling this very well. Boy, you are failing. So if we don't say that stuff to our clients, we can't say that stuff to ourselves. Okay? We got to protect ourselves, protecting our soul. So thinking about a typical workday, not a perfect one. Where do you most often feel tension, fatigue, or frustration? Is it starting the day? Is it between student crisis? Is it after difficult conversations? Or is it the end of the workday? If you could pinpoint this, think about, when do you feel the most stress and tension and fatigue? And just by realizing that will also help you in knowing when you need to practice your regulating activities, your self-talk, the internal dialogue. If you need a start the day thing, like I need to wake up and I need to have myself say, you know what, you got this, girl. You can do this. Maybe you need to make a time, or I have two really good friends, and once a week we take turns throughout the week of sending each other like a text message. And I'm not gonna like it's pretty like go get it, you and you and you. And we use some swear words, just to kind of get us going. But it's you got this. You can do this. It's going to be one of those days, but you got this. Maybe you want to find a partner to do that with, or maybe you have a mentor. Maybe you need to practice that during the day, or maybe you need to make a phone call during your lunch hour to a person that is your mentor or a person you can talk to and say, "Oh my God, I just need you to help me get through this day." Or maybe you need to just say that to yourself. Or maybe it's at the end of the workday where it's like, okay, this is where I feel the most drained. And I need to, at the end of the day, practice self-talk or go do something that's important to me. That's going to provide that resiliency, build that resiliency. So remember, resiliency is not an occasional thing. It's not something we can occasionally practice. It's what are we going to do on the daily to help us bounce back quicker? And then, what's that going to look like for you when you start practicing some of this stuff? How are you going to feel like in 6 to 8 weeks? Or maybe the next day you might feel better. Which pillar would support you most right now? So place your word in the chat. Which one are you going to work on? Are you going to work on regulating? Maybe some of those physiological things? Are you going to work on setting more healthy boundaries? Or are you going to maybe do some internal chatting or um, maybe changing your self-talk on what is meaning? What does this look like for you? How meaningful are you? You are meaningful. And then I'd love it if you would think about choosing one small practice you can realistically do most days. Now, what's the key word here? Small and realistic and most. Okay. One small practice you can realistically do most days. Because remember, we're not perfect. But what's something we can do most on the daily? I don't strive to run every day. I don't strive to breathe every day. There are going to be days that I don't. And I'm not going to punish myself for that. I'm just going to say, okay, I'll try again tomorrow. Tomorrow's a new day. So regulation, one slow breath between students, between clients. Drop shoulders, unclench jaw before emails. 30 seconds of reset after hard conversations. Boundaries. No email during lunch. One compassionate no per week. Logging off at a consistent time. I'm going to add no running to your next meeting, only eating a granola bar. And then the last one, meaning write down one process win per day. What's one thing you won at today? Even if it's a small win, even if it's a smile on someone's face. Maybe it's I showed up. I came to work. And end the day naming one moment of impact for you. So here's your challenge. What are you going to do? What's your one small, realistic, almost on the daily thing that you're going to do to help build your resilience? Because you deserve it. Your work matters. Your presence matters. Your well-being matters. And having a growth mindset of knowing that you're going to practice this stuff and you're going to continue to grow is so important. You deserve it. All right, back to you, Karen.
Much, Brenda. Thank you so much. That was so wonderful. I want to just encourage you again, if you have questions for Brenda, please put those in the Q&A box. There's been a couple that have come in. The chat has really been hopping, so I appreciate all of the things that folks have said in the chat. If you are looking for strategies, this chat is a whole list of things from exercise to music to gardening to pets and kids and partners, all of the things. So take a look at the chat. And I am excited now. We will have an opportunity to get to your questions in just a little bit, but I'm excited now to invite Cherie Jones to share with us. Cherie Jones is the homeless education specialist for the Indiana Department of Education. Cherie worked for over 9 years as the McKinney-Vento liaison and the ESSA foster care point of contact for Indianapolis Public Schools. While Cherie was at Indianapolis Public Schools, she provided support and guidance for homeless and foster youth and students, ensuring that barriers leading to enrollment and academic success were never an issue for students. Cherie provided all homeless families with access to community resources and the services necessary for home attainment and stability. Cherie was born and raised in Gary, Indiana, and a product of a single parent home. Cherie was homeless by definition under the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act 18 times with her 4 children in Gary and in Indianapolis. Cherie's homelessness enables her to show compassion and empathy to the families and students that she serves. So we are very lucky today to have Cherie joining us. So Cherie, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Karen. I appreciate that. Good afternoon, everyone. As Karen stated, my name is Cherie Jones. I am the homeless education specialist for the Indiana Department of Education. Been doing this for quite some time now. It's very passionate for me. If you've ever heard me speak before, I am very passionate about this. This is my life's work. I love to ensure that our homeless children and youth are receiving the education that they are entitled to, as well as keeping up with them after the fact. I do want to say, Miss Brenda, I definitely enjoyed your presentation. I was all ears, learned a few tools along the way myself. Thank you so much for taking the time out to share that information with us today. A lot of times I kick off my school year. I do a monthly webinar, and I off the school year most of the years I've been at the Department of Education by doing a webinar called Compassion and Purpose. Because I feel like it's important for you to know, and every year we have new liaisons that join us here in the state of Indiana or even across the country. And I love for them to just know what it is, what their compassion and purpose is for that position. I think it's really important for folks to know that right in this job, we give daily. We give of ourselves daily. All we do is give. But as Brenda stated, what are we giving ourselves? How are we fueling ourselves? How are we feeding ourselves? How are we keeping up that energy to be able to get through the day and serve your clients, or in our case, homeless children and youth? So, showing compassion and respect, one of the best ways to help someone experiencing homelessness to show respect. The same way we want our coworkers to talk to us or our administrators to talk to us, we want to talk to our homeless children and youth and their families in the same way.
Lost Cherie for just a minute. So if you want to hang tight, I will actually, Brenda, while we're waiting for Cherie to come back, can I pose one of the questions in the chat for you? The question is, when you work with the same individuals through repeated crises, how do you stay compassionate without absorbing a sense of failure when things don't improve?
That's a tough one. And I'm sure a lot of you experience that, probably a lot more often than what I can even imagine in the work that you do. I taught a class on poverty last semester, and we actually went out and did 4 different poverty activities, and I saw the hopelessness in many of these clients that we were serving, and the just the lack of energy of wanting to make a change, right? So a lot of the stuff that we're doing, we're working harder than our clients, right? And my thought on that is we can give our clients, our families the tools, but we cannot do the work for them. Because if we start doing the work for them, or if they continue to fail us, we have to just say, okay, the win here was that we gave them the tools. We gave them a toolbox, we put tools in it, which is skills, resources, whatever it might be. And that's all we can really do. And cheer them on, right? Advocate for them, but and support them. But ultimately our failure, our or our belief of who we are is not based upon the failure of their actions. So that's on them. So that's kind of the meaning one.
Brenda. Cherie, glad to see you back again. I will turn it back over to you.
I'm so sorry. If anybody has Xfinity, you know what I'm experiencing. They have outages all the time. So I am so sorry. And like Brenda said, you experienced that anxiety and I just felt it. So I did some breathing, Brenda. Let me go back to sharing my screen. My sincerest apologies, everyone. Okay, so we definitely want to give them the respect of talking to them eye to eye, and again, maintaining that direct contact. That helps your client or your homeless children and youth to trust you. Talk to them with sincere interest. When I am speaking to a parent or to one of the school districts that I serve, I make sure that I am listening, I'm tuning into what they're saying, and I'm making sure I'm making comments. Okay, tell me a little more about that to make sure that they know that I am listening to them. That also helps with trust. And I acknowledge their value as an individual and reaffirm their humanity. We are all humans. Now, one of my favorite quotes is that I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So remember one of those times when someone made you extremely angry. Very rarely will we forget about that. The times when we get really excited and really happy, you don't forget about those things. So put yourself, this job, you will practice a lot of empathy. For me, it's empathy and sympathy, right? Because I've been homeless with my students before. So I can practice empathy and sympathy with my families. So try to practice some empathy where you step in that parent's shoes or in that co-workers or liaison shoes if you're a state coordinator, and imagine how they're feeling in that moment. I have state coordinators, liaisons in Indiana that call me all the time. And that you can hear the anxiety in the voice. You can hear the frustration that lives in them from a situation from a parent. I'll tell you one thing I've totally learned is not to take on anyone's anger. And I learned that during my time at Indianapolis Public Schools. Like Brenda said before, I would go home. I would go off on the people in my house who did absolutely nothing to me. You cannot hold on to that frustration. It takes so much energy to hold on to that frustration and just to let it go. Smile. Use the tools that Brenda did give you. My health coach, I went to her specifically for this. And my health coach informed me about the take five. Take 5 deep breaths. Let them go. 5 deep breaths. And like Brenda said, unlock your jaw. When you and let those shoulders drop, you automatically feel your whole body calming down. It works. I'm telling you, if you have not tried it, make a believer out of yourself and do it. Now, you want to show compassion through communication by starting the conversation by affirming their self-worth, right? I always tell my parents, you made the right call by calling my office, by visiting my office. I'm going to do the best that I can to attend to your needs, but I'm definitely going to make sure that your student has academic success while you're in this situation. You have to remember, I was an embarrassed parent and I was proud. Can you imagine being homeless and proud? It happens because I don't want the school. I didn't know a lot about the McKinney-Vento Act then. And I felt like the school district was the Department of Child Services. So I did not want those folks to feel like I felt when I approached the school people. It's okay. You can tell me what you need to tell me. My door is closed. This is a confidential conversation. This stays between me and you. Letting them know that I hear you. I'm here for you. And I'm going to help you as much as possible. Be prepared for courageous or difficult conversations. Homeless folks, I remember being homeless, you all. Homeless people are angry. They are angry. They are frustrated because of their situation. But please keep in mind, they are not mad at you. You did not cause the situation. You didn't cause the issue. But some of them can be very frustrated and angry. And before they got to you, all they heard is no, 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 no. So I try my best to give as many yeses and do as many referrals to community service that I know can help the family as much as possible. And ensure your conversation, especially for those in education, ensure that your conversation is student focused. When you're speaking to an unaccompanied homeless student, please tune in. All it takes is one wrong word, the wrong tone of voice for one of our teenagers to say, you know what, throw their hands up, forget it. I don't have to be here. And we've lost that student. And have we done our job? No, we have not done our due diligence to that student. We failed that student because we didn't take our mind off of everything else to focus on what that student had to say, which is extremely important. Be honest. If you don't know, say so and find the answer. I don't know everything. And a lot of people, especially in my state, would say, oh, well, Cherie's the expert. I thank you and I love you all for that. However, I don't know everything. So I will tell them, hey, if you give me a minute, let me reach out to NCHE, which is the National Center for Homeless Education. Let me reach out to SchoolHouse Connection. You know what? Let me call another state coordinator or my mentor, who's actually one of the Indiana liaisons. Let me reach out to him to see if he has an answer. Use your network. You are not out here alone. As Brenda stated in her presentation, a lot of times you may feel like you're the only one in that situation. I promise you, you are not the only one in that situation, especially in the climate that we live in today. Okay, you are not alone. And during my time in Indianapolis Public Schools, I was also homeless while I was working there. So it's a big, I almost felt like I was contradicting myself because, right, I'm giving these parents all these supports and all these things. And here I am, I found myself homeless again, right? But I share my story. So I always tell people, fortunately, yet unfortunately, yes, I was homeless. Fortunately, because I'm able to share my story with parents, which actually makes them more comfortable speaking to me. I know all of you all can't give that story. But if you have a story in that way that would benefit the homeless children and youth or clients that you serve, share that story. Again, you're building trust. Now, develop a plan of support. That comes with asking questions. Asking questions in a compassionate way shows the parent or child or your client that you care. That's all they want from us. They want to be heard. That's it. And if that's all they want, hey, I think we can handle that. See the homeless. I read something today where it said we're going to see our invisible neighbors. And I almost got a little upset about that because, but the truth of it is, and I have to realize it, some of our homeless folks are invisible. A lot of homeless folks we just don't see. We don't see them. But because they try to be invisible, they feel invisible to us. They walk in your office with this big old desk and your nice professional wear. They're intimidated. They're intimidated by your position. It's our job to make them feel like we see them. Please don't judge them. That's one thing. Please do not judge the homeless. A lot of us, it would take just missing one paycheck and we would be in the same situation. So please do not judge them. I am a high school graduate. I do not have a college degree. Okay. I used to feel I was less than working in education because I didn't have a college degree. I do not feel that way today, but it did take me some time to work up to that. So I don't judge anyone. I meet everyone where they are at. I don't know what you know, and you don't know what I know. And for some of you, you might have learned from your parents, just like I learned from my parents. I learned things from my parents, that resources as well from my parents I knew nothing about, right? Because parents, the best advertisement with parents is word of mouth. Be a good listener, lend an ear, and practice active listening. Like I said, make sure your cell phone is turned off and the notifications and all that. By the way, Brenda, all of my work notifications are turned off during my off time. I can't do it. I don't have the capacity because I'm raising two grandchildren. So I don't have the capacity to do that. I have to silence work when I'm at home. Respond with kindness. I love smiling, y'all. I love to smile. If anybody in Indiana knows me, they'll tell you I love to make people laugh. I love to make people smile. It makes me feel good. I'm naturally a giver. I want to see everybody win and everybody happy, but that's just me. But hey, try with a smile. Find your purpose. Why are you in this role? Why are you serving homeless children and youth? that can help you with your daily work. Search inward inside yourself first. Take, like, Brenda said, get your notebook, pen and paper. I know we all like to type, but I always have pen and paper right here with me. Take the time to write down some things that you find inside yourself. Okay? Put your purpose before your goals. Focus. You have to focus. We are educating children. These are our futures, our future bankers, doctors. I don't want a child operating on me with a D average. Okay? So focus on your families and their needs. Take ownership and accountability for what you're telling your families. Think about what brings you joy. Again, I love to be happy, and embrace the acceptance. Like Brenda said, you are not going to be able to do everything and help every parent. You've got to embrace that and know that you've done your level best. Find your community. I did when I first started that job. I was the baby in Marion, what we call Marion County here. I was the baby. I knew because I researched, but I didn't know what it took to do that job. So we had a group, and I gleaned from those seasoned liaisons that I worked with. Still do. Be flexible. This is not a job where it's one road. Oh no, there are many roads when you're dealing with homeless children and youth. And always, always know your why. If you do not know your why, I'm telling you today, take the time to figure it out. Because if you don't know why you're serving homeless children and youth, it will come out in the conversations that you have. So please know your why. Okay. And I think that's it for me. You all can email me. I'm pretty sure Karen is going to share this, but you all can email me at mckinneyventoplc@doe.in.gov. I thank you for your time. I thank you for listening. And I do want to apologize because it's about 19 Cherie Jones in this webinar. And it's simply because I forwarded my link out. So Karen, I do apologize, but I do want to thank my Indiana folks for joining me. You all have a wonderful day.
Cherie, thank you so much. You all, this has been a wonderful space to be in with you to think about how we can build that compassion resilience. What are those strategies that we can use to really take care of ourselves, to find our purpose, to think about the strategies we can use when we are working with our students and families on a daily basis. We actually surprisingly don't have any questions in the Q&A box. And the chat has been buzzing with appreciation and thank yous. So I want to just also one more time extend my sincere gratitude and appreciation for Brenda and Cherie for joining us and for sharing this really incredible information. Before we all sign off, I want to just remind you all that you can connect with us on our Slack community. Cherie and Brenda both talked about community and the importance of that. And so the Slack community is a place where you can connect with others that are serving students and families experiencing homelessness. So that's a great place to also build that community. You can connect with SchoolHouse Connection on all of the social media sites. And then also one more time to plug our Slack community. These links are all in the slides. I've dropped those in the chat a few times. Those will come to you in your email. They'll be posted on our website, so you will have plenty of access to get to all of this information, as well as our newsletter. Again, we're sharing resources and information as often as we can that way. Thank you all so much, Cherie and Brenda. Thank you so, so much for your time and for your expertise. Thank you so much to all of you for the work that you do and the incredible things that you're doing to serve students and families. I hope that when you leave this time and this space, you will take a deep breath and find that thing that works for you, that you can really do to take care of yourself today. So thank you all again so much. I appreciate you, appreciate all of your work, and I'm so grateful that we've had this opportunity to be together. Have a really great rest of your day.